Hello and welcome to What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. I'm your host, Sea of Tranquility publisher Pete Pardo. You can also visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. Today is Wednesday, January the 28th. So here we are in the middle of winter here in the Northeast, New York specifically. And for all of those of you on the East Coast here who may or may not have been hit by that really bad snowstorm just the other day, I hope all is going well for you. We'll dive right in. We've only got a few things for this week. It's been kind of a slow early January with new releases, but do want to bring some stuff to your attention here this week. The first one is a brand new CD from a Swedish band called Bullock. It's called Storm of Blades. This is it right here. This is on the Metalville Records label. They also work with Nuclear Blast as well. I really like this. This is a old school style metal band. Specifically, they seem to draw roots from like the early 80s classic metal sound as well as the new wave of British heavy metal. So, you can hear some references on here to, like classic Judas Priest and Accept, Saxon, AC/DC, that sort of thing. Really, really catchy tunes, but it's pretty heavy, great guitar riffs, gruff vocals. I like it. I dig it. If you like the old school metal sound, check out this new one from Bullock. You really, really can't go wrong. It's quite solid. All right. Also, brand new, hot off the presses, this latest from New York's Misery Kills My Ugly Insides. Check out that wild cover art of the woman looking in the mirror, doing her makeup. It's kind of not what she sees. Hardcore's not really my thing, but if you do like the underground New York style hardcore scene, this is actually pretty solid. It gives you everything you want. There's lots of slam and grooves and heavy bone-crushing riffs and breakdowns and bellowing vocals and all that kind of stuff. So if you do like New York style hardcore, these guys deliver it for what it is. It's very good, whether it's my cup of tea or not. If you like hardcore, definitely seek this one out. This is a cool reissue from the World and Sound label. I guess this came out in 1968. It's from a band from out west called Easy Chair, and they only ever released one-sided LP. It's kind of strange. So this has got the 3 songs that they released. There's 3 tunes. It's about 20 minutes worth of music. These guys were a kind of like a psychedelic rock band. Little bits of hard rock and heavy blues and a little prog and whatnot. They toured with Cream and the Yardbirds and Frank Zappa's Mothers of Invention back in the day. In fact, they so intrigued Frank Zappa that he signed them to his Bizarre Records label, though the band broke up shortly thereafter. So this is what we've kind of got left. 3 interesting tunes. Again, some psychedelic stuff on here. There's one really cool hard rock song with fuzz guitars and wah-wah. Kind of sounds a little like Cream meets Iron Butterfly. There's some Beatles influence here. You can certainly hear some of the influence of the San Francisco psychedelic scene at the time. So pretty intriguing stuff. It's a shame that there's not more music on here, because I'd definitely like to hear more. Solid vocals, good guitar work, there's some piano in spots. It's pretty cool if you like the late 60s psychedelic scene. Other things to look out for. I've got one in particular, actually a couple. So there's a new live CD out. Gov't Mule have been celebrating their 20th anniversary as a band, which is kind of hard to believe. Seems like it was yesterday that I went to see them for the first time in Irving Plaza in New York City when they had just formed. But yeah, it's been 20 years. And so they're releasing all this archival live stuff, and they've got this brand new live CD, double live CD coming out with John Scofield called Gov't Mule. It's some great live recordings taken from down in Atlanta, in the Atlanta, Georgia area. With all instrumental tunes featuring, Scofield, who's a legendary jazz blues artist himself, jamming with Warren Haynes and company, and it's pretty damn good. You should definitely check into that if you like, virtuoso instrumental guitar-led music. It's quite good. Another thing that's it's actually not coming out just yet, but we've had a chance to review it on the website, is the latest from U.S. AOR veterans Toto. It's called Toto 14, and I'm just happy these guys are still making music. A couple years ago, Steve Lukather, guitarist and vocalist, was talking about possibly shutting the band down for good, but thankfully they haven't done that. This new one, which is going to be on the Frontiers Records label, coming out in March, is one of the best things they've done in years. It's got everything you love about Toto. It's got, the classic hard rock and melodic rock. It's got some great ballads. It's got some tunes that kind of bridge the gap between jazz, prog, hard rock type of thing. So a little bit of everything. Joseph Williams is back on lead vocals, sharing vocals with Lucifers. It's got a bunch of classic members on it, as well as some great session men like Tom Scott helping out on sax on a couple tunes. So really, really solid release from Toto, and I think it's going to be on a lot of people's favorites list come the end of the year. All right, with that, we're going to dive into, one more thing. One more. Eclipse. Armageddonize, Swedish band Eclipse, also on the Frontiers label. This is their brand new one coming out relatively soon, I believe, later this month or sometime in February. And if you like their previous release, this is another really, really solid one. If you like very melodic, very catchy, heavy, melodic rock, slick melodic rock with crunchy guitar work. Guy sounds a little bit like John Sykes. Soaring vocals, irresistible songs. Can't go wrong. So definitely seek that one out. With that, we're going to go to Forgotten Favorites. So I've got two this week since we had such a light new release lineup for you today. This first one is very, very near and dear to my heart. It's the 1971 release from Grand Funk Railroad called E Pluribus Funk. Now, Grand Funk has, all their early albums were really, really big hits, but it wasn't until, we're an American band that they actually became, superstars, which was a few years after this. But this is one of their really, really classic early albums before they added Craig Frost on keyboards and they were still working as a trio. This is pretty damn heavy. There's some really, really groovalicious heavy rockin' tunes on here. Lots of guitar. Mark Farner's using a wah-wah a lot on this album. The riffs are thunderous. The tunes are catchy. Just a very, very underrated band when folks talk nowadays about some of the really influential heavy rock bands of the early 70s. I've always dug these guys, and I always felt they should be given more credit than they actually are. And, check this one out if you haven't. It's, all those early Grand Funk albums are great, but this one for me is one of my favorites. Definitely in my top three. It's pretty damn heavy. So if you're someone who likes discovering some, heavy sounds of the 70s and you haven't yet stumbled upon Grand Funk Railroad, I highly recommend this one. Last but not least, Lucifer's Friend. Here we have, this is a twofer. It's got their first album as well as their 1976, I believe. Yeah, 1976 Mind Exploding. So their 1973 debut as well as Mind Exploding. Many of you know that John Lawton was the original lead vocalist for Lucifer's Friend. He eventually went on to replace David Byron and Uriah Heep for a number of albums. I love this early Lucifer's Friend stuff. I like the band itself. Again, not too far removed from that Uriah Heep Deep Purple playbook. I think that's the reason why Heep chose him, because he kind of came from a similar background in Lucifer's Friend as he was stepping into in Uriah Heep. So, heavy Hammond organ, lots of crunchy, bluesy, hard rock guitar riffs. Lawton on the first album especially is just screaming up a storm, just classic stuff. He kind of had this Ian Gillan thing going a little bit there in the early years, but with probably a more bluesy stance. So if you haven't checked out Lucifer's Friend, I highly recommend them. Actually, all their albums are very, very solid. The first one right here, probably the best, but they're all solid in their own right. So with that, we are going to close up shop here today. A little bit shorter than normal, but hopefully we'll come back next week with lots more new and exciting stuff in the worlds of heavy metal, progressive rock, jazz fusion, as well as a forgotten favorite or two from yesteryear. So with that, have a good rest of the week. Keep checking out new tunes, investigate some of this stuff. Go to the website, again, www.seaoftranquility.org. You can also visit us, obviously, here on YouTube, as well as Facebook and on Twitter. Take care. I'm Pete Pardo, your host, and we'll see you next time.